Well, a very good evening to you. Quite an interesting day. Budget day for the financial year 2026-2027. We've seen the Cabinet Secretary taking his good time from National Treasury all the way to the National Assembly to read the 4.8 trillion shilling budget. And when you look at the numbers, it says that this particular budget has been prepared on the backdrop of global uncertainties. Talk about challenges at the Iran area, this particular conflict exerting pressure on the prices of fuel and food. Other than that, also locally, we were looking, actually, he mentioned that the macroeconomics number, they are quite stable. He says the rate of lending in the banking sector has been quite stable, so private credit is good. He's also mentioned that the shilling has maintained its stand right there at 129, so there is no much volatility. That's a good thing. He's also mentioned inflation has been manageable, except for the past month, which shot to 6.7% because of course, the fuel prices. So according to the Cabinet Secretary, we're doing pretty well. We are managing well amidst a global turmoil. And that said, it should be given a pat on the back. The big question is, does the Mwananchi feel this particular budget? Is it speaking to them and their very needs? That's what we're about to discuss on this particular town hall. My name is Nokip Kimboy and welcome to this session. We have a rich panel here, quite diverse. And I see, sir, you look very happy. You're smiling all the while. Are you happy with the budget? Please introduce yourself.
My name is Edward Rioba, Secretary General Bunge la Wazalendo Kenya. Budget si mbaya sana, iko nusu katikati, 50-50. Ukiangalia hata jinsi waziri alikuwa alisoma kwa madaa sana. Inaonyesha kwamba alikuwa analinga kwa kitu anachokifanya. Alikuwa anajua anafanya nini kwa wananchi, kwa sababu umesikia mwenyewe akitamka anasema amepita kwa mabunge ambayo ni mabunge ya wananchi. Ndio sisi hawa tulikuwa tukimhoji pale, tunataka ajue sisi tunafikiriana na sisi tukamhoji ili tujue nini kinaendelea. Lakini mwisho wa siku bajeti imekuwa 50-50. 50-50 kwa sababu zifuatazo. Kwanza, kitu cha kwanza tunahitaji kukijua katika nchi hii, tunaangalia chakula. Nchi ambayo haina chakula na haipati usaidizi wa chakula, tumeona ruzuku ipo tayari imekwenda kwa wakulima direct. Hiyo ni namba moja. Kitu cha pili ambacho kwangu mimi nimekiona kimekuwa kina afadhali, kuna vitu vingi vimepata ruzuku, pamoja na kuwa watu wengi watapiga kelele kwamba kwa nini imeenda hapo, lakini at least wamefaidika.
So 50-50 for you. And who else participated in the Cabinet Secretary public forums? Are you also from the Bunge la Wananchi? I mean, it's quite interesting because it's unprecedented with cabinet secretaries. Mawaziri wengi hawajakuwa wakienda kwa wananchi. Mara mingi bajeti imekuwa ikifanywa pale Treasury, yeah? Na ni mara ya kwanza tunaona kwamba we engage, wanakuja mpaka kwa mwananchi. Unahisi hiyo ni kitu yenye imechangia na umeona reflection ya mwananchi kwa hii bajeti?
Yeah, na kwa majina naitwa Gedenji Kamodho, na ya kwanza ni kurudisha tu shukrani kwa Mheshimiwa Mbadi kwa sababu ya kitu moja, amefuata spirit ya baba. Ukiangalia pale bunge la mwananchi, si Mbadi alikuja wa kwanza, baba ndio alikuja. Hata wakati ya Bomas draft tuliketi na yeye, akakuwa anapata mawazo mazuri, ile Bomas draft constitution kitengenezo. So from then akaanza kuturecognize Mbadi. Wakati baba tulianguka uchaguzi wa 2022, alikuja na baba pale wakaongea. Sasa the essence ni spirit ya baba. Mbadi acquire more kutoka kwa baba, the knowledge ya mwananchi anataka nini. Ndio utakosea vitu zingine, lakini mingi ni zenye utapendeza. Kwa hii budget ya leo, kitu ambao tu nimeona pengine nitashushi ni wakati alikuja na issue ya virtual asset ambao ni cryptocurrency. Ukiangalia kina Ethereum, kina Bitcoin, uangalia hizo kina Solana, ukianza kucharge hizo vitu, dunia mzima hakuna nchi ambayo ina charge taxes kwa cryptocurrency. Na itakuwa ni changamoto kubwa sana ambayo inaweza tuma dunia mzima waanze kuangalia Kenya na macho mawili. Na itakuwa ni changamoto, maana kuna crypto kama Bitcoin ambao ni 10 million. sahi Kenyan money, lakini kuna wengine hata ni $0.01 ya Kenya, yani chini ya shilingi hata 15 ya Kenya. Sasa hakuna standard ya gauge kuuza taxation kwa kitu kama hiyo.
Okay.
Hii budget yenyewe mimi ningesema hivi, ningeibase na mkulima mmoja ambaye alikuwa na nguruwe na kondoo na mbuzi. Wakati nguruwe ilikamatwa ilipiga kelele sana. Mbuzi zikajiuliza mbona huyu nguruwe anapiga kelele wakati sisi tunashikako na mkulima na tupigi kelele. Kasema nguruwe ikawaambia wale watu ni hivi, wewe mbuzi ukikamatwa unakamulia kwa maziwa inasaidia mkulima. Wewe kondoo ukikamatwa na mkulima unakatwa manyoya unasaidia mkulima. Mimi nikikamatwa ni kuchinjwa na chinjwa. Sasa kwa hivyo ilikuwa ni matajiri wakati huu wengi wamekamatwa kwa budget ya Mbadi.
Yeah, unahisi matajiri wamekamatwa. Na tuta unpack because we have some time. In fact, this gentleman anajiuliza hii mambo yenye unasema, mbona unasema hivyo? Hebu mpatie microphone. Introduce yourself and talk to us. Unahisi vipi kuhusu hii budget?
Kwa majina naitwa Tinega Damasen, chairman bunge la mwananchi Kamkunji. Katika budget ya leo kwangu mimi is a total disappointment. Kwa maana ndugu yangu anavozungumza hivi, mimi naamini kwamba ukisha dine na boss lazima utamtetea tu. Unajua, sasa nafikiri ndugu yangu alivokutana na Mbadi aliacha kitita. Na that is the political way and he has to defend. But the fact comes katika budget ya leo tuko na 1.1 trillion deficit ambayo whether we like it or not lazima iongezewe ushuru wa bidhaa. Huu uzuri wote ambao unaona unapigwa msasa, unapendezesha, ni kama unajua, lakini dakika ya mwisho the pain is hidden. Nobody speaks about this 1.1. Kumbuka for the last 12 months or let me call it 11 months tumekuwa tukicomplain. Wakenya wamekuwa kilia, tumekuwa na maandamano number of times. Wakenya wanalia kwamba uchumi umewafinya. Na kuwafinya kwa uchumi inamaanisha hawapati, unafanya kazi nyingi lakini mshahara ni kidogo. Kwa hiyo Wakenya wamelemewa na ushuru, bado unataka kuongezea ushuru. Unajua nimeona wanasema inakuwa borrowed. Our Kenyan government has borrowed more than enough. I don't know wanaenda kuomba nini tena. Because if they go to borrow, I think instead of going to Singapore, we are going to Zimbabwe. Trust me. If that's not the way, then we are going to be shakaolad all of us. Because the common mwananchi hapa chini mima linatoka Majengo, Kibira, Mathare, mtu kupata sukuma ile ilikuwa inauzwa shilingi 5, sasa hivi inauzwa shilingi 20. The reason being mafuta imeongezeka, mkato umeongezeka. So hizi cost implication sisi tusianze kuangalia eti sijui in terms of billion. The bravest part of the government is wanakupatia figure 667 billion imekuwa allocated kwa shule. But ask yourself, if you divide this money according to how the law is, kila mwanafunzi anaenda kupata pesa ngapi? Ikienda sana labda 4 bob. Is it enough for the child? The answer is no. It comes again to my whatever I used to tell people that mtu wa mwalimu kidogo unakuta amepata D, ameenda kusomea teaching, anakuja kuchapa mtoto apate A, while yeye mwenyewe alishindwa kuscore A.
Haya, points imeenda nyumbani hapo. Still just speaking general sentiments kwanza, kwa sababu tutaanza kuangalia those specific numbers. Tutaangalia different sectors. We've spoken about food security, so agriculture sector, education, hizo sector muhimu, health. Wanasema kwamba wametenga na wameweka kando kitita hiki na kile. Lakini tukiendelea sentiments. Sir, so far from listening to Mbadi today, how do you feel about this budget? Does it speak to, is it reflective of Mkenya wa kawaida?
Good evening. My name is Wycliffe. I work in the manufacturing sector. First of all, I'd like to say no, an unequivocal no. because I don't remember a time where, as my fellow Kenyans said, the budget is 50-50. I don't remember a time where 50 was a pass mark. So I sit at a point where I ask myself, number one, where does the common Kenyan come into the minds of Treasury? Because I personally believe this analogy of saying we have experts in government is not right. Because if we have all these experts, why are we struggling? Why are we in debt? You know? And like he said, we have a deficit of 1.1 trillion. We all know it's going to be borrowed. But what does the Constitution say? So if we have leaders who keep saying that they adhere to the Constitution, then the sad reality is, one, we have a lot of people coming out of university, lots of Kenyans. Where are they going to go? I agree, the government should not give people jobs, but the government should make an environment where people can be able to get gainful employment or become entrepreneurial. But what have we seen? I mean, KRA has been taxed into Shylocks almost. They are hunting people down every day. I mean, even in our own personal emails, if you check, we have reminders every month to file our taxes. So this budget, why has it grown? And then we think about the global economy. So every economy around the world is talking about cutting costs, reducing expenditure. Even America is talking about reducing expenditure because of the Iran conflict. But here we are, as a country, bold enough. I listened to the budget speech, and I don't look at what happens in parliament. I look at what happens outside. Look at the body language, the kind of tone that Mbadi had and Kimani Ichung'wah. They were saying, no, you go tell them, we've done the statistics. You know, don't question our statistics, we won't give you the data. So it's a lot of hubris they have, it's a lot of arrogance. And why do they have this arrogance? And then it reminds me of the fundamentals of government. Government is supposed to work for Kenyans, to make all Kenyans' lives better. Githinji mentioned that Mbadi learned from Baba. But we are 55 plus million people. So who is representing, outside of him and Mbadi, who's representing the other 55 plus million Kenyans? And that should be the narrative we should go with when we are discussing the budget. Because, as he said, the cost of goods increase. And where I work, the minute 1 shilling is increased on fuel, guess what? All the trucks that cross Mombasa Road, all immediately increase. So the milk that is picked from the farm, cost increases. That cost is passed on to you and me.
Okay.
There was a time when, milk in this country was 25 shillings. There was a time when traveling from, let's say, Nairobi all the way to Kisumu was 600 shillings. How much is it today? Definitely. And that's unbearable.
Definitely. I want to go to the corner. Today, listening to the budget, he's read a lot of hubris from the tone. I don't know, what did you read?
My name is Kezi Amien. I'm the Women League leader, Kadwa Sili political party. For me, judging from what I saw from Mbadi, it's a burdensome budget. It's a budget that seeks to meet the targets of the executive at the expense of the mwananchi. Because for me, one thing that really stood out is for him to say that I'm allocating 17 billion to KRA for reforms to collect more revenue, and yet the revenue that has already been collected over the years has no accountability. I always tell people, if they could be able to have accountability, if we could have austerity measures as a country, in regards to the resources that we already have, I'm sure we wouldn't have a problem as Kenyans in paying our taxes. But you're collecting our taxes. We are seeing a lot of wastage in terms of government. You have the executive having the hospitality travel, the leisure travels, monies that we can't account for. And then again, this is the highest budget at 4.8 trillion in the history of Kenya. And you're telling us it is 50-50? 50-50 at what level? Is it executive? You have a government that has, you have three arms of the government. You have the executive, you have the legislature, you have the judiciary. You have the executive at the national government getting its 2.89 trillion. You give parliament 40 billion, and then you're giving judiciary 30 billion. So in essence, number one, you're creating a reliance on the national government. And then we're still supposed to believe this is working for Kenyans. It's not working for Kenyans. Each day we hear the judiciary complaining, we have a backlog. I mean, where are we supposed to go when we have issues? We're going to the courts. But if these very places, that is the judiciary, is not well funded, if then again the very KRA is telling me, you're granting this thing, we in fact, they're looking for a way to invade up to our M-Pesa statements to look for tax, but the one they've already collected can't be accounted for. But they further want to come for more. The one you've taken, you can't tell me how it's working, but you want to come for more. And then again, in the same breath, you're telling me as education is the biggest beneficiary. So education is the biggest beneficiary and TVET. But what measures have you taken as a government to address the previous graduates from the TVET? You have a high rate of youth unemployment, but you're saying you're investing in the education. But what about industrialization? You're raising taxes on the industrialization, thereby industries are shutting down, manufacturing costs are high, but you want to invest in these people. So once you're saying you're investing, which again, if you calculate it, it's a very paltry sum, and then once you've invested in the education, they have nowhere to go, you understand? And then you're saying the budget is for good. It's for the good of who? It's not for our good. Okay. If anything, I really feel it's very burdensome for the Mwananchi and very beneficial from the topics.
Definitely. They've spoken about young people. We have a good representation here. First of all, as a young gentleman, do you feel the budget resonated with you?
Thank you very much. My name is Somani Abdullahi from Wajir, youth leader and youth advocate. First of all, I would like to start my speech or statement with a philosophy. There's a philosophy called moral relativism. It says that the good you know is an evil to another. The right you know is a wrong to another. And you can never come to a conclusion that this thing alone is right and that alone should be right. It depends on the position you hold, where you're from, your culture, and who you are. So, and to add, it's only in Kenya, considering in comparison to the whole of East Africa, and even including even Central Africa, that you can find 10 different people from 10 different races or tribes with 10 different political opinions who are discussing to come and debate about one thing, leave the debate, and still appreciate each other. That's the sweetness of democracy. So the fact that we the youth, I mean, I specifically as a youth, and everybody here has come to have a say about the national interest or the national agenda of this country itself is democracy. So we can't come on conclusion and say this person's opinion is right. And remember, the people who are in power are people who are specialists in that field. We also have to respect that. The issue of whether 50-50, like 50-50 is not something that we can depend on as a country, is not a legit point in my point of view, because I'm a medical student first. I'm a student of medicine. And for a pass mark of a doctor, for you to become a doctor, you have to score a pass mark of 50. That's the person you trust your life with. So saying 50-50 is illegitimate. Is not a good point to say that the finance bill or the budget is not worth risking the lives of Kenyans with.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right.
The other thing, I've realized, I've gone through the proposals and realized that most of the tax that are increased do not directly it will eventually, indirectly, or it might eventually, indirectly affect Kenyans. But it's not directly, most of it's not directly affecting Kenyans. Like the issue of smartphones. You don't buy a smartphone every month, every year. You buy once in 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
The other thing is it's very easy for people to sneak, for people who operate electronics and smartphones business to sneak smartphones into the country and evade the KRA.
Okay.
We agree on that. So for us to avoid that, the government has proposed that your smartphone will be taxed the moment you switch on, and you have to, the moment you activate it. And you don't have to pay it directly. You will pay through the network providers, mobile network providers like Safaricom. So I think it's good. Let everybody contribute to the well-being and the development of the country, because we don't have another country.
Definitely. And while you're speaking, Abdullahi, she was visibly uncomfortable. You were like, no, this can't be. Do you beg to differ with him?
There's several points I'd like to differ with.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Eva. I'm a communications specialist.
Okay.
So let me first address that, then I'll go to my other remarks. First of all, there's no such thing as an indirect tax. Every tax, as long as it's a tax on a good or a product, it will come to you. It comes to your pocket. There's nobody else being taxed. It does not go into the air. If you tax fuel, the transporter will add his cost, so the manufacturer adds his cost, so the retailer adds their cost. Who are they adding it to? It's the citizen. It does not go anywhere else. There is no, we can talk about trickle-down economics and how these things, the bottom line is any tax is a tax on the citizenry. However you want to slice it, that's the bottom line. That's first and foremost. Secondly, electronics that get into the country without being taxed or with people evading taxes, who is allowing it? Who runs the ports? We don't run them ourselves. There's a government agency that does it, right? If the government agency chooses to allow people to get things in because individuals have had their palms greased or for whatever other reason, that is their personal failure, is it not? It's a government failure. So you can't say, we failed here, but now we want to come and fix it here. Then again, any technology expert will tell you, people have already found a way to recycle IMEIs, which is what is used to tell whether a phone existed within the network. People have already started cloning them. So whatever tax they think they'll get from that will be very minuscule in the larger scheme of things. So that again will all end up at the same point. Going to Kezia's point where she said, first plug the holes. Like, it's a very simple thing. There's so much wastage. People are being caught with 65 million Kenya shillings in their houses, but somehow that's not the problem. The problem is we don't have enough revenue. We are being gaslit by our government daily, and we are just supposed to be fine with it. We can talk about 50-50 and all that, that's fine. We can disagree about that, but we have to agree about the fundamentals. Finally, Mbadi said during the press conference, with his own mouth, he said, you need to hold leaders accountable, right? Then the first question he was asked, what did he say? No, we cannot go that direction. So who is being held accountable? Is it other people? Is it hold everybody else accountable but not me? Or what are you saying? If we are holding you accountable, we are either holding all of you accountable or none of you. But you can't say, in the same breath, that was not even a 30-minute press conference, hold leaders accountable. Then when you're asked a question, no, we can't go that direction. We need to stop. We've gotten to a point where now the dignity of Kenyans is on the table. That's what we are negotiating for. We are negotiating our dignity and our humanity with our leadership. That's a problem. And I think we can all agree on that before we start talking about how this is good or this is bad. The point is we've gotten to a place where now our dignity is what is on the table. And that should be a crisis for everybody.
Okay. You know, yesterday we spoke to the principal secretary Dr. Chris Kipto, and we're talking about the economic fundamentals. So, the government keeps mentioning everything is okay, the shilling is fine, the lending rates are fine, yeah, and numbers are stubborn. So we are doing good on paper. But when you speak to Mwananchi, there is a different narrative. And I want to bring in an economist. Right at the corner there, gentlemen, if you may introduce yourself and help us understand from an economist's point of view, when the minister speaks, we are doing well. When the people speak, the cost of living is high, we are barely surviving. What is the disconnect right there?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. My name is Robert Maina. I'm an economist as well as a tax professional. Now, the question you've put out is exactly what's happening on the ground. That the truth is, the fundamentals or the economic numbers, when you look at inflation, exchange rate, the growth, they are stable. We've been having stable numbers. But the main issue is it doesn't seem to trickle down to the common Mwananchi. And historically, we've always talked of two key ways of ensuring people enjoy the benefits of these, the statistics we are talking about. You either take projects that really support people on the ground, the common Mwananchi, and that's what we used to call trickle-down economics. I think in the era of the former president, the late Mwai Kibaki, he's the one who popularized that economic theory, that you need to focus on the people on the ground. And when they experience the benefits of economics, ultimately, the government and the economy will actually thrive. That is the same concept that actually this government came with, bottom-up economic transformation agenda. As to whether they are delivering that, that's the challenge, because what they were saying is that they want to start from the bottom. And then once those benefits are realized, then the economy will actually be okay. Now, over the past 3-4 years, they've been in government. Unfortunately, those benefits haven't been realized. As a matter of fact, the cost of living has gone up. We are talking the cost of fuel. Obviously, there are other external factors, but in addition to that, they acknowledge that with that, then that means the cost of goods are going up. We've also had the issue of circulation of money in the economy. I think it's one of the biggest issues, that with the many taxes that were introduced in the first year of government, what that meant is that the disposable income, the income that the employed people and the rest are getting is very minimal or was reduced. And unfortunately, that led to a decline in terms of the consumption, or people are a bit afraid. If you're not sure what happens next, what people do is they hold spending. So if I realize I've already taken a deduction of an additional 10%, then I'll start asking myself, do I need to spend on non-necessities, or do I hold on the money? So that actually locked a lot of money, and that is what the government has been suffering from. The other issue is the pending bills. A lot of money, the government holding a lot of money, because the key thing is you can have a good economy growing, but if the money is not flowing, because actually what makes people feel the economy is growing is if I'm in the economy, I'm able to get a gig. I get something, I work, I purchase, I pay someone else, they also get the money, they do something else. So that circulation of money has been the biggest challenge in this government. Okay. And that is where they need to address to ensure that people actually feel the benefit of the economy.
All right.
Thank you.
Interesting. Trickle-down economics. Now, it's quite interesting in terms of the votes that we've seen, different sectors, and we'll go into that. But earlier on, we brought up the issue of the deficit, because obviously budget, you have the big figure, then you look how much you can raise in taxes, in revenue, then that difference, in one way or another, you'll have to borrow it. Yeah, and I want to bring that to the floor because it was brought up a little bit earlier at 1.146 trillion. That is the budget deficit that we're standing at. And the government plans to borrow 116 billion externally, and domestically, it's planning to borrow almost 1.03 trillion shillings. Okay? Now, there's always that balance when you do heavy borrowing locally. crowd out effect, because now you and me, normal mwananchi, getting credit becomes more lucrative to lend to the government than the normal mwananchi. I want to bring you in this issue of borrowing, domestic borrowing. Public debt right now, it's a big conversation, but government wants to borrow heavily locally. Do you think the tune will change over the financial year, where we'll be like, oh, we've gotten some extra cash from this external source, or will we stick to this plan?
Actually, when you look at it keenly.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. My name is Ezra Makwechingo Diambo. I'm a student at Leicester University. I served as the student leader 2024-2025. So I speak from a point where we feel the pinch as people getting into the market currently. And when you say we want to borrow locally and you point out 1 point something trillion, that means the government will borrow more than the trader who's going to borrow. Because currently when you look at the business that are running, they're running on credits. Someone borrows a certain amount to start a business to pay off the loan that they have. And actually the government is acknowledging this by giving us the Nyota funds and giving us the Hustler funds. So it's something that it's a conversation that is growing broadly, and it's going to make any person who's going to venture into business feel the pinch, because the government will have borrowed the biggest chunk. That is from the banks, from the private savings that we have, that is the NSSF and all those borrowing agencies that we have. And it's getting us to a point where we are running away from speaking about this thing. All these things, the money transfer has become online. And the government is also increasing a 16% tax on the online transaction. So that means you are taxed while borrowing, you are taxed while going to use that money online, and you are taxed when the other person is going to receive it. So that means the conversation will change, not positively, but negatively in the consumer's pockets. As the economist said, the people feel it better when the money runs through their pocket. Currently, we've gone from cash to online. And when this tax is implemented, that means you're going back from online to cash. What will that impose to the Kenyans? That is one, the insecurity level will go high, because we know this person doesn't have money in their phones, but they have money in their wallets. This one will get us to a point whereby the conversation is not in that where is my money stored or how is my money used. And to just point out this, it's off topic, but I don't want to make it clear. The moment the Kenyans will differentiate the budget and politicizing the budget, will get to a safer space. Yes.
Definitely. That's quite a heavy point right there, because a lot of things are attached to the hip, rather. So you find the budget and the politics of the day are still dancing, sometimes out of rhythm, unfortunately. Still on the issue of borrowing, sir, I'd like to pick your mind on this particular issue, because it seems it's a standard across the world that governments don't always live within their budgets. As an individual, you're expected to live in a house that you can afford, but as government, you can always go beyond, because you have an option of borrowing and also getting more from the people. How do you evaluate this particular budget?
Oh, thank you. My name is Tabu Charles Adam Okumu. I'm the chairman of Bunge la Zalendo. So far, okay, when I want to talk about the budget, there's something I wanted to state before I engage your question. It could be good when the government could tell us the previous budget, the achievement of the previous budget, and the approximations they are done. Have they achieved their goals? Or we are just singing budget day, budget out, year in, year out, without seeing any productivity. Then from there, we start with a new budget that this is now our target of 4.3 trillion. Now from there is now we talk when you have seen what you have done to us. Are you getting it? Then, like today, they are just telling us things in terms of billions. as if when they tell us billions, then our heart cools down. No, we still have so many questions in terms of how do they spend our money? Do we get services from the state agencies across board with the budget that have been allocated to from previous year, what they have achieved? Let's say, for example, the ethics and corruption, the 50 billion you allocated to you. What have you done? Can you give us also the breakdown? They were allocated 50 billion. This is what they have achieved from within the budget of 50 billion. Or are we just giving money to these institutions and then there's nothing coming out? And then they're telling us they are working. We are not here to pay taxes to go without food while others are just driving big cars. So what we want to see is serious people doing their work. Because we are trying to engage them, but they are trying to run from us. Because when we question these people, and there are sometimes when you go to their offices, they run away. So it is very, very bad. We as taxpayers, we have a right to go to those offices and have meetings. You cannot tell me that when you have engaged you, now you don't have time to meet us. That one shows that you are disrespectful to taxpayers. Let us come back to your question. They have said that we are going to borrow 1.1 trillion. My friend, people are suffering outside here. Domestic borrowing that they are talking about, it is more of a communication they are giving us, but we know they are going to tax us. It is not a borrowing. Are you getting it? Mm-hmm. For example, when you just, in fact, if you want to deal with these people, don't go for big money. Just go for small money, then calculate it. You withdraw 100 shillings from your M-Pesa. You'll find that the taxation on it will be 11 shillings on top. So if you take 100 shillings minus 11 shillings, which means you have taken 89 shillings. That is what you have. Are you getting it? So tell me, is it fair? Because they have taken almost more than the 10% of that money when you are withdrawing. Okay. And that money, when you banked it, also they tax some money. So this budget, the way I'm seeing it, we are going to feel it within some time. Within some time, we are going to feel it. Okay. The common mwananchi want to be free as such. Okay. Because if you look at the purchasing power is too low right now. Even though they are telling us there was a growth of 5%, on what? Are you getting it? So when we question these issues one-on-one, they don't have time. But if you look at this country, it is run by some people who have planned themselves. And then they come to us just to deliver the message. Whether we like it or not, that is the position. Okay. So for us to make a good budget, we have to engage the common mwananchi. Okay. That person who is on the ground. We have been talking about industrialization. When you want to create job opportunities, there are just areas that you can factor in and things will open. That is one, agriculture. Yes. Two, industrialization. And industrialization involves manufacturers. That's why those TVET students will go to industries. That's why those students also will go to agriculture. And once you go to agriculture, there's food security. And when you get the food security, there is now peace in the nation. When you get jobs, people have money in their pockets. When you invest in what we call service industries, my friend, there's a problem. Why there is a problem? Service industry with the political temper normally comes down. But manufacturer can stabilize and agriculture can stabilize. Okay. So I urge my country representatives in line of financing. Even I heard them, an MP saying that the one in the chair of the Committee of Finance, saying that this is the best. I know it is not going to affect the common mwananchi. It is not going to affect the member of parliament, not common mwananchi. Okay. Common mwananchi has been affected already, okay, and he has been feeling the pinch. Okay. So the only thing I can probably advise them to do, the little they are giving these institutions should be monitored. Okay. Especially the ethics and anti-corruption, ODPP, Ombudsman, all these institutions, okay, DCI, also should be monitored. Okay. Are you getting it? Definitely. Because there are some people thinking that by virtue they are working in the government, they cannot be monitored, they cannot be accounted for. Okay. Accounted for what they are doing. Definitely. So I think even as citizens, We have citizen audit. We need to do what we call citizen audits in these offices. I think that one can also assist us as a Kenya community.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very, very important. And this question also we raised with the PS yesterday. We were like, do we have what we call budgeted corruption? Like we budget, but we know that money is going to be stolen. I mean, previously we've had a former president say, "Samnataka nifanye aje," you know, and in such situation, he was like, we need to empower the institutions that are there to make sure that they are holding the government accountable and sealing those loopholes, which is a big discussion. And I know you want to
something from your talk. When you are calling those CS, try and call us too, because these people cannot monitor themselves. These are just a group of criminals eating together in different angles.
Okay. If we are told to substantiate that, it will be interesting. But I want to bring in. I'm going to come to you, sir. But there's something interesting that the CS raised. Treasury actually say that only 3.1 million working Kenyans currently contribute to pay, while millions of other income earners remain outside the tax net, and is calling for a change for that. And I want to bring you in. Please introduce yourself and give us your opinion in regards to this tax net discussion. In a country of 50 plus million people, they're saying only a small portion is sort of paying what they owe the government, and other people need to come to that particular tax net. Isn't that, a relevant point, especially for government that is trying so much to raise revenue, please?
All right, thank you. Thank you. My name is Valentine Kimani. I am the Kirinyaga Youth Representative for the People's Liberation Party. And yes, first of all, there's a lot of pressure on the current income tax base, because that is the group that has been pressured year after year to carry the load, the burden, the fiscal deficit of every financial year. And the truth is, we need to unburden this group. When you look at the the budget of this year, when you look at the budget of this year, you need to. Can I have a minute?
Please, no worries. Even as you do so, I want to come to this gentleman. You're chilled, you know? You've been listening and weighing in, and you're wondering, okay, who is that? Who's saying that? From your perspective, where you sit so far, do you feel this budget has addressed the issues that are called for you? Ni budget ya mwananchi, imemuongelea mwananchi, inamjali mwananchi, ama ni budget ya wakubwa vile huyu amesema?
Kwanza kwa majina naitwa Joseph Odoro Wino. Hiyo ni jina ID na jina ya kazi ni CJ, Ghetto Chief Justice. Mimi kwanza, kila mtu nasikia ukiongea saidi yako unalia, unateta, tunateta wote, but tukiteta wote na hii nchi tuko nayo, and we must transform this country. Hizi vitu zote zinafanyika, ni nini inafanyika? Hata tukiteta tunataksiwa, tukilia tufanye nini, ndio change ikue, lazima hizi vitu zifanyike. Tusiangalie saidi ya viongozi sana, au pia Yesu wanatufuta kwa lami, wanakula sana kushinda vile mwananchi anafaa. But pia tukiangalia, there is some places zinakuwa transformed. Mimi natoka Kiambio. Ile kijiji sahi so far hatukuwa na mabridges poa. And so far nimeona contractors wameingia kwa ground, at least wanatutengenezea bridges. Yes, tutataksiwa hiyo. So situangalieni pia, hata kama tunataksiwa, imeenda wapi? Imesaidia nini? Maybe uona aliona taksiwa huku na inanisaidia pale kwa kijiji, tunatengenezewa bridge. Unaliona taksiwa hapa, lakini inatusaidia pale, tunatengenezewa barabara. Mtu analia hapa, but tunasaidika nao pale sisi kama wananchi wa chini. So guys, even if tetea mwananchi, but pia angalia saidia sisi watu wa pale chini. Ukitaksiwa angalia pesa kuna vile natusaidia, tuna benefit na hiyo taxes na vitu zingine. Thank you.
Asante sana. Na najua there is this gentleman, I'll come to you sir, nakuja kwako. Amesema kwa ground yeye ana feel kwa village yake hakukuwa na bridges, so akiingia kwa village ana feel this is my tax actually building this infrastructure, and it's, I mean, from his point of view, is a legitimate argument. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Kamau Mwangi, an economist by profession and a politician from Nakuru County, Mount Narok Ward. You know, probably in his village, there is development that is going on, but I think most of us who are here, we are actually complaining not because of anything else, because the money we are taxed, we never see the implementation. Number two, let me come to this budget. You know, I am seated here wondering, some people are here saying that the budget is okay, it's 50-50. On my end, I am even wondering which kind of government is leading us. Because as an economist, my friend will tell you, the deficit of 1.1 trillion, when we have 80% being borrowed locally, that means that the people who are going to suffer is the small businesses, because loans won't be available. So that means that money is totally locked. And when there is no circulation, my fellow economist can tell you, the person who will suffer most is that woman who always have mbogas at 200 and she wants to make 50 bob out of the 200. That is the person who is going to suffer most. On another point, I have noted them here because I did not want to lose even one. The remaining portion that is being borrowed externally is about 150 billion that is going to be borrowed externally, usually from World Bank, IMF, and those financial organizations. Yesterday, the governor of the CBK said that the loan that is being financed through the DPO, negotiations are still ongoing. So it's not money. The money is not dispersed. The money is not confirmed. We are well aware that the deal that was there of about $3.6 billion with IMF expired in April. So also still negotiations are still ongoing, and that is on record. So already the government is budgeting on money they don't have, and they are not sure if they are going to have it. So the implementation of that budget is almost 50% we are going to fail, because if you don't get the money, then the development, the implementation, it won't happen. Look at the money that has been allocated to county governments, the 440 billion. You know, I am an MCA, so we can deal with the 440 billion that is coming to counties, but the implementation is zero, totally zero. Like where I come from, I think for the last 4 years, the only thing that we have seen is those small empowerments, and they are actually even more tribal. And you will get that even the money that is given, the politicians are coming to make they are bringing the money that is, you have paid taxes, but we as citizens, it just looks like we have to kneel down, we have to worship you so that you can empower us with even 5,000 per welfare, per women welfare. If you look at this budget, you have given us a point of about something like budgeted corruption. That is what is happening. Look at the allocation of the State House, 25 billion. You even wonder how many people live in the State House. Because the allocation, I think from the estimate that we were doing, I think the State House should be around 6-7 billion at maximum. It's very doable. And that's why you see the united opposition, someone like Dr. Matiang'i was saying, like the State House should operate even with around 3 billion. So we have a lot of misplaced priorities.
Okay, definitely.
So much.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. Gentlemen in cap and glass, you had a heavy point that you're almost coming in front here. What's your name and what do you want to raise?
Asante ndugu no unanitania sawa tu. Hamjambo, mimi naitwa Mbulika, mtoto wa Mbulika. Na nadhani nasikiliza gumzo linalokuwa linasogea mbele. Hili gumzo lipo vizuri. Ila nadhani kidogo kuna chenga na changamoto hapa na pale zinakuwa tunazishuhudia. Labda nianze kwa kusema kwamba mimi ni mwenyekiti wa bunge la mwananchi pale City Stadium chapter. Kuna City Stadium bunge la mwananchi, si lile ambalo labda unakuwa unajua la Jivanji, hapana. So labda nianze kwa kusema kwamba kama nchi sisi hatuna tatizo la mapato, ila tuna tatizo la matumizi tu. Na katika kutumia sisi ni wazuri sana, ni wabadhirifu. Tunatumia pesa, yani ukiona kwamba zipo unazitumia unapokuwa unataka. Nataka kukinzana na hoja moja hapa nimesikia. Nasikia kwamba wanasema sio kuna hela zinatolewa, hawajui zina matumizi yake, tunatoa hela nyingi hatujui matumizi yake ni yapi. Tunakosea. Matumizi ya hizi hela tunayajua. Hivi hamjasikia Bwana Murkomen akisema kwamba yeye ana mkanda wa kufunga kiunoni wa shilingi 1400? Hamjasikia hilo? Nyinyi hamjasikia hilo? Kwamba yeye ana tai moja tu anafunga kwa siku moja shilingi 1120. Hamjasikia hilo kwani? Sio mmelisikia hilo? Kwa hivyo hizo ndizo pesa na hayo ndio matumizi ya hela ambazo nyinyi mnazitoa. Tuwa mizani ukweli. Tumeambiwa kwamba hawa waheshimiwa kwa kununua maandazi tu na chai asubuhi wakati wewe hujala chochote. Huyu jamaa, mimi narauka asubuhi na kwenda pale City Stadium. Labda unapigwa pale na joba na mchana mzima hujala chochote. Lakini hawa majamaa unaambiwa wametumia shilingi milioni 17 breakfast peke yake. Jamaa wapo vizuri Wapo vizuri. This is the money we are budgeting for. We told Mbadi sijui kabla anamsikia anasema we are 50-50. Hicho Kiingereza misikielewi sana, 50-50 misikielewi. Ndio kusemaje huko? Kwamba mimi nitoe hela wewe uende ukanunue mkanda wa shilingi 400 alafu niambie kwa 50-50. Ndio maana nini hiyo? Kakarioba bwana, kabla wewe hujazungumza kwanza tathmini maneno yako. Tathmini maneno yako, unatukosea. Nasema hivi. Wakati mahali kama pale Ikulu kwa mfano, nasikia pale walikuwa wajenge na kanisa hapo. Yaani kila kitu iwe ni one stop shop. Ukienda pale kwanza unakula pale, unakunywa, unaabudu. Yaani kila kitu pale. Ila kwa gharama ya nani? Kwa gharama ya nani? Halafu unaambiwa wewe huyu mjusi kafiri wewe ukimtazama usimtazame kichwa, wewe mtazame kwenye mkia. Kwani kuna tofauti kati ya mkia wa mjusi kafiri na kichwa chake? Mjusi kafiri tu, kichwa chake na mkia wake vyote sawa tu. Okay. Mambo gani haya? Alafu naambiwa kuna nakisi ya shilingi trilioni 1.1 deficit ya hii budget. Tuangalie tulivyokuwa na nakisi kama hii msimu uliopita. Tuliwahi kuishughulikia mpaka hizo pesa tukazipata, tukayashughulikia ile masuala ambayo tulikuwa tumeyabajetia. Tulikwenda tukaomba, tukatukanwa, tukaonekana kwamba si wajinga, lakini bado tunarudi katika ujinga ule ule. Tuonekana kwamba si wajinga wa kuomba na kukopa. Kablaza amesema jambo hapa pia nimeshangaa kidogo. Anasema eti kuna vitu fulani vinategemea unavitazama kutoka wapi. Kaka Abdullah, naomba nikuulize swali. Wewe ni mdogo wangu na nakupa heshima hiyo. Hivi kwa mfano mimi nikiumwa na njaa nikiwa kule kwetu Kapsabet, na wewe unaumwa na njaa ukiwa Nairobi hapa, nipe mtazamo wako wa njaa ya Kapsabet na njaa ya Nairobi. Hiyo inakuaje? Samahani kidogo, ile swali ndabala sikutaka unijibu. It's rhetorical.
You asking the difference between the hunger you feel and the hunger I feel?
Hujanielewa. Nimesema hilo swali ni la balaga, sikutaka unijibu. Yani niache tu nimalize alafu
It's fine. So in conclusion, sir?
Naomba niseme hivi. Kwa kumalizia tu kwamba sisi watu wala nyasi, sisi watu wanyonge tunaonewa sana na hawa mabig fish hawa. Wanatuoneaga sana. Ila nikiuliza labda swali la kufunga kazi hapa. Mimi nikitaka kuwania urais, ndugu Noah, wewe utanipigia kura wewe?
Ni rhetorical question pia. Bila shaka nitasikiza sera zako na nione vile zinani affect na ni make that particular choice.
Asante kwa sekunde moja tu ili niondoke. Tafadhali, tunapokwenda kupiga kura ya mwaka 2027, angalieni mjue kwamba tumewachagua manyang'au na wametuumiza kwa muda wote. Mchagueni mtu ambaye ana akili, ana hekima, ana moyo wa nyama, moyo wa mtu. Asante bwana mtangazaji.
Asante sana. Na nakuja kwako kwa sababu naona wakati unakimbia. Kwa in the spirit of Kiswahili, muda wa yoyoma. Na ukiyoyoma hivyo tuko wengi, so tuko na dakika kama 15 hivi 20. Tunataka tufanye ile round ya kufunga, ile round ya lala salama. Utapatiana point yako wa mpigo wa kufunga na pia tukue brief. Najua ulikuwa umeangaziwa, ulikuwa umewekewa tochi namna hii.
Sasa nataka kusema hivi.
Tafadhali.
Unajua nguruwe akiwa mchafu, akioshwa, akirudi akilala pale, huwa anaona kama bado yeye ni msafi, kumbe ni mchafu. Nataka kuambia hivi. Fedha tunazozitoa katika nchi hii, kama wewe uliona maeneo yenu, kuna mwenzako hajawahi kuyaona tangu uhuru, akiona leo anafurahia. Kwa hiyo ni haki yake kwa sababu analipa kodi. Iwe kodi inalipwa nyingi, iwe inalipwa kidogo, lakini ni haki yake kupata maendeleo. Mfano, juzi tumeona watu wa jail wameona stadium ya watu 10,000. Ile stadium ya watu 10,000 ukijenga Nairobi leo tutakucheka. Sisi tunataka stadium ya watu 100,000. Hatutaki watu 10,000. Wanakuambia wameona lami kutoka hapa mpaka pale, na ukumbuke wamelipa kodi tangu uhuru, hawajawahi kuona hayo maendeleo. Maendeleo yamekuwa kwa watu wengine. Leo wakiona kuna watu inawauma kumbe. Nataka nikwambie hivi. Kodi tunaitoa Kenya inafaa kumhusisha kila mmoja. Kutoka Vanga kwenda Busia, kutoka Horohoro kwenda Lamu, kutoka kila kona nchi hii. Vile vile nataka nikwambie hivi. Kenya hii haitaacha kukopa pesa za maendeleo. Inawezekana ndani ya miaka 10 tukawa na deni zaidi ya trilioni 10. Mfano mzuri tu, nataka kuwapa mfano mzuri. Unajua vitu vingine tusiongee kwa kufurahishana. Tuongee kulingana na mataifa mengine ambayo yameendelea zaidi. Kwa mfano Marekani inadaiwa na China 1.1 trillion US dollar. Ilikopa huko. Marekani inadaiwa na Japani 1.3 US dollar. Trillion hizo ilikopa huko. Marekani inadaiwa na Belgium 600 billion ilikopa huko. Yaani nikianza kukutajia mataifa ambayo Marekani inadai Marekani utashtuka. Kwa hiyo Kenya leo hii tunavyoongea na wewe, bado itaendelea kukopa deni. Bado deficit itaendelea kuwepo. Sisi kama wapiga kura bado kuna kitu hatujagundua, ni wapi tunakosea. Siku tutagundua wapi tunakosea, haya mambo hayatakuwepo. Nataka nikwambie hivi leo ndugu yangu Noah. Baba yako akiiba shilingi 1 ya Kenya, mwambie baba, kwa sababu umeiba nenda mahakamani ukajibu huko. Sio baba wewe ni baba yangu ngoja nikutetee na jirani unatetea baba ya Noah ili afaidike. Sio unasikia? Kitu tunatakiwa kufanya sisi kama wa Kenya ili haya mambo yote tusiyapitie. Lazima to hold our leaders accountable. If you not do that, my friend, let me tell you, tutaendelea kulia, kupiga kelele, tunaruka juu ya nyumba, tunaanguka chini, tunaenda kando, tukienda hivi tunapiga kelele kila siku. Asanteni.
Asante. Nitakuja kwako mbio. Tafadhali.
Nashukuru sana kwa nafasi hii tena, kwa maana muda unatupa kisogo. Jambo langu nataka kulirudisha tena katika mjadala ambao kwamba ndugu zangu wamemaliza kuzungumza sasa hivi. Kulipa ushuru, wa Kenya wana historia ya kulipa ushuru pasipo kuchenga. Isipokuwa viongozi ambao kwamba wanatuongoza, kwa mfano rais wetu mpendwa anaitwa nani, Mheshimiwa William Ruto, samahani maana mtaelewa tu. Mheshimiwa William Ruto, ofisi State House allocation ni kubwa
kuliko maelezo. Ukija, huo ni ubadhilifu ambao unasababisha mtu kama mimi na ndugu zangu ambao kwamba na waongoza huko chini wamejifunga kibwebwe wakitafuta mkate wa kila siku, japo mara moja, tonge moja tu hawalipati. Lakini pale wanajenga kanisa, wana mpango wa kujenga kanisa, sadaka tujui itaenda kwa nani, sijui kasisi ni yeye, sadaka anachukua yeye, yala uyalam, Allah ndiye anajua. Tuende kwenye sehemu ya pili. Juzi tumeona kwenye counties ndugu yetu mmoja ambaye ametoka kwenye chama cha the most high principled cabinet, ambaye ni mzee wangu kutoka kule kwetu Wetangula na Samani Mudavadi, amepatikana nyumbani na milioni 260. Hakika ya Mwenyezi Mungu, hii milioni 260 lipo ushuru? Je, kwake ni benki? Mimi nikitoa shilingi 100 kwenye M-Pesa na katwa shilingi 11, yeye amechukua shilingi milioni 260, ambapo sitaki kukubaliana na maofisa kwamba eti baadaye walihesabu wakakuta ni milioni 60. Hata mtoto wa darasa la kwanza hawezi kukubali. Tumekuajiri, tumekupa masomo, tumekupa uwezo, tumekupa crown, ulifika pale ukahesabu ukatoa idadi, baadaye inakuja kushuka kiwango hicho. Tunaenda tena kwenye sehemu ya pili. Angalia viongozi ambao wanajiita mawaziri. Kila waziri ukifuatilia taratibu wana hulka ya kiburi. Hawapendi kuulizwa swali ambalo linahusiana na matumizi ya hela ambazo sisi tunatoa jasho kila siku. Jamaa yuko pale Marigiti anavuta mkokoteni ambaye analipwa shilingi 200 kwa siku. Lakini ile 200 akiweka kwenye M-Pesa anakatwa shilingi 24. Ikifika kule bado tena ni mtihani, hela yote imeondoka ambayo ni asilimia ngapi? Asilimia zaidi ya 10 katika mahesabu. Huyu waziri anatuambia ametuletea bajeti ambayo kwamba ina deficit ya 1.1 ambayo tunahitaji kukopa nchini na ughaibuni. Hivi kweli hela tulizokopa mwaka juzi kati, juzi zote hizo, huwa tuna tabia ya kukopa? Hivi kweli unategemea utumie the same tricks to have a different change?
Kweli swali nzito hilo. My brother, ulikuwa unataka kusema nini?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Before I come to my main point, I would add something on what Dropa said and my friend also said, on two things they have said separately. I'll start with him. He said what the US owes Japan and what the US owes Belgium. And I want to tell you, I actually studied geopolitics a lot. And I want to tell you that the US has a total debt of 33 trillion US dollars. The last time I've seen, I think it was a while ago. And it's growing at a very high rate. So economists will tell you, I'm not an economist, but they will tell you, debt is money. If you owe the bank 1 billion, and if you owe it 100,000, they will treat you differently. The person who owes it the 1 billion, they will treat with respect. It's an asset. They will protect him. So that's the first thing. So, and having a budget deficit of 1.14 trillion shillings is not a crime. It's a proof that our country is growing, their population is growing, there's a demand for more, you see, and that we have to cope with the world.
Okay.
So the question is, how can we get that money? How can we get it? That's what we are discussing. Having a debt is not a crime, and having a budget deficit is not a crime. It's a proof that they will tell you we need a reform of our education system. In fact, our education system has been reformed. You see the CBC. That's where the budget is going. Have you seen how your child and my child will not be educated like we were? They are going to receive an education that's based on their talent.
Okay.
Personally,
yes.
I would like my son to be a doctor or an engineer. So, and they will bathe they will carve their way to that place as young as 4 years old.
Okay.
That's the first thing. The second thing is the matter of taxation. If we don't pay tax, who will? And if through tax we can't build our country, how can we build our country? That's a question people should answer. And the other thing, the most developed countries in the world, Denmark has the highest as the highest tax rate in the world, 45. France the second, 43%. If you have made $100,000 in Denmark, you will pay $450 as a tax. Okay. So, and that are countries that we look up to and say, wow, we should be like that. We don't want to pay what the taxes they are paying, but we want to be like them. How? That's the question. The other thing, countries with the lowest tax rates have natural resources. Okay. Like in UAE, we don't have oil. We don't have oil to sell. And the other thing, the other step the government is taking in order to reduce our living expenditure or the life is by creating a refinery in Kenya. So that how will that refinery help us? Okay. It will reduce our fuel. Reduction of fuel price means reduction of livelihood. Okay. So the government is taking the right steps. We should not judge too early. We should not judge them too early.
All right. Thank
That's
you very
what
much.
I mean. The other thing I would like to add.
Because you've taken
sorry,
quite
please,
some
1
time.
minute.
Less than 20 seconds, please. In closing.
Okay.
Please.
I'm from Wajir. For the first time in the history of Kenya, we have seen a stadium in the whole of northeastern Kenya. We have seen the Madaraka celebration. Actually, unlike before, I traveled all the way from Meru to that. I've actually been interviewed by KTN at the ground, at the stadium. And I would like to tell you, I would like to report as the first person, and on behalf of the many Kenyans who live in northeastern Kenya, yes, that we feel more Kenyan than before. Okay. We are more patriotic, we love this country, and we are ready to contribute to the taxation or whatever through means to develop this country. You see?
All right.
So that is what has now has brought the Madaraka to us.
Okay.
We feel included.
So essentially, you are feeling development on the ground. Very, very pertinent point there. I want to bring you in, then I'll go at the corner. But please, in closing.
Thank you. I was holding my breath, and I will forgive him for his youth, because he said he's a young man. So I will forgive him for his youth. There are certain facts, and I hope maybe my senior here mentioned about different countries. I'd like to bring some facts that people tend to forget. Number one, we are not American. We are not Danish. We are not Japanese. We are not Chinese. We are Kenyan. So no amount of these examples you tell me clearly tells me that any of these people care about what Kenyans do, live, how they survive. None of them care. So all this benchmarking that they are saying, and I remember Kipchumba Murkomen saying that they are benchmarking with the New York police. I laugh because where's that benchmarking when Denzel was found? Where's that benchmarking when Rex Masai died? Where's the benchmarking? And as a young man, I feel very offended because he says they've seen a stadium. The most amount of misappropriation in this country by the auditor is in northeastern Kenya. So he needs to check his facts, number one. Number two, and I'd like to be very brief about this to say, all these people keep telling us that it's acceptable as long as we benefit because somebody benefited earlier. Two wrongs don't make a right. So the more we sink into debt, the more we are putting our children at risk. Okay. The more we are putting our future at risk. So any of these people who claim that, America has debt and all this, can they give me examples of where taxation actually developed a country? Over-taxation did. Can they give me examples of where IMF funded a country to success? These things are there. You can go read. He's a young man. He has Google. Google it. IMF has a website. They give loans to all these countries. Which country has succeeded? We can build this country ourselves by understanding that we should not have a president who taxes me to build houses. But in that notion tells me I cannot own that house, yet I pay for it. And then in the very same breath, put that money into a fund. And then go sell that fund to get a loan. I mean, we're not sick. We have to stop at one point in time and say, our leaders are not leading. because they are not leaders.
Yes.
All of them have PhDs. All of them sit in front of cameras and they say, we are billionaires, millionaires, and we sit there and admire them. Why? Because in this country, we've made being a politician the best career. And that's wrong.
Definitely.
I respect my education, and I work hard for my money. So at no point in time am I going to excuse a politician or an aspiring politician to come and tell me, for as long as development is coming to a certain place, it is okay to accept this corruption. It is not.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I want to go at the corner right there, briefly, in closing.
Allow me first just briefly to speak to, I really like the fact that when it comes to debt, you're really quoting all the big countries. I'll ask my friend here, what is the quality of life in Denmark compared to Kenya? All the countries you have quoted have one thing in common. The quality of life is very high. Their taxes are working. So if Denmark is one of the most highly taxed countries in the world, you go to Vejle, go to Horsens, go to Copenhagen, look at the streets, look at the infrastructure, look at the education, look at the healthcare, and then come to Kenya. And then again, now it takes me to what CJ is highlighting, that kule chini, kama mnataksiwa huku juu mabwanyenye, sasa sisi ambao tuko kule chini, msizungumze. There's one thing we really want to understand hapa. Kwamba, if we are being taxed as a people, it is for development. There's no tax bracket that says, if you are rich, we'll tax you 25%, and if you're in the ghetto, we'll tax you 2%. When we are taxed as Kenyans, irregardless of your social status. You understand? Secondly, it does not excuse. Because one thing, I have seen pockets of development with this government. I won't take it away from them. However, you will not tell me because you're building a stadium, so then you have a right for 50 billion to disappear because you're building a stadium. You will not tell me because of domestic borrowing, we have a deficit of 1.1, and so we have seen previously, there's the selling of bonds, we have seen privatization of parastatals, but can you account for, is there transparency in these privatization processes? Is there accountability? Can we talk about how it's being done? No. Kenya Pipeline right now, I'm sure very many Kenyans can't even account for how the privatization processes of Kenya Pipeline is happening. Yet mnatuambia tunajengiwa madaraja. Madaraja ni maendeleo kakangu, lakini nikuulize, at what expense? Kwa mifuko ya nani? Ni sawa unajengiwa daraja. So what we are asking for, one, is accountability and transparency. Okay. That if you're going to build the bridge and it costs 4 million, let it cost 4 million. Okay. Don't build the bridge at the cost of 100 million and then go to the people and tell them, oh, you didn't have a bridge, now you have a bridge, clap your hands. But 96 million is missing. Okay. That is our money. And equally, I fully believe that the deficit we are facing can be found not in selling of bonds, not in privatization of our parastatals, but rather in tightening corruption. If we just deal with the wanton wastage we face as a country, ule ubatilifu wa pesa ambao unaonekana katika maofisi ya serikali, ikizingatiwa kwamba serikali iseme right from the customs, our borders, revenue collection by KRA, and we mean serious revenue collection. If they are going to benchmark with the NYPD and tell us about cameras, I think cameras should just start from the highest office in the land. Then from there, we will be able to see that this money that is collected, if we are able to rein in on corruption, then I believe the particular deficit we are facing as a country can be reined in on. Then Kenyans can be able to see the development that we need, that we want as a people, that we deserve as a people. Definitely. And lastly, to the MCA at the corner, it is not okay to lay blame at the national government. Y'all at the county government are equally wasting the resources of the people. So for me, I also find it very pretentious when people keep saying national, national, national. You people go to Malaysia to look at roads and spend 500 million. You can just go to Rwanda and look at roads and come back. There's a... It's a very clean village. Kenya is a city. Where are we at?
Definitely.
Kenya is a city.
But
Where
the
are we
point
at?
is home,
so
definitely.
we really have to be very accountable and transparent in all our activities.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to come to her briefly. Actually, you have like 5 minutes, honestly. So if we can keep it very tight, it will be beneficial for those of us who haven't given closing remarks. So briefly, in less than a minute, heat your take home.
Okay. So 2 things. First of all, If my taxes were being used to develop the whole country, I would not have a problem with it. If my taxes were ensuring that a mother who is giving birth will not die waiting for a medic, or because there are no lights in the hospital, or all those other ridiculous excuses that they give, if that is what my taxes were being used for, I would not have a problem. Tax me 50%. That's fine. But you cannot tax me 50%. Then I go to a police station and they tell me, gari haina mafuta. Do you get what I mean? You cannot tax me that amount of money. Then if my mother or my grandmother wants to go to the hospital, I have to go get them, because they will not get treatment at the hospital that is nearest to them. Dispensaries are closed. Go on any random day to a village somewhere, you will find a dispensary closed. There is nobody. So if I'm paying, I don't mind paying, but I need to be paying for something I can see. Okay. It doesn't have to benefit me, but it needs to benefit people. And that's why I'm saying we need to stop negotiating for the dignity of Kenyans. Okay. That's the problem. The problem is not, like he said, the problem is not collection, it's expenditure. You're spending it on the wrong things, then you want to come and gaslight us and tell us, no, we are doing very well. We are not. People are suffering, and the people who are suffering, the more they suffer, the angrier they get, they will punish you. But we shouldn't get there just because you want to look pretty and tell us how you wear Pierre Cardin or you wear Patek Philippe watches. We don't care. Okay. Just do your job.
Just do your job.
That's it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This
gentleman,
briefly, in less than a minute.
Yeah, back in 1963, Jomo Kenyatta was addressing three things: poverty, ignorance, and stupidity. In 2026, the three things are everywhere. So I really think with this budget, if we look at it cleanly, you can look at specific projects that were given allocation, like social housing. For once, we congratulated Mbadi for addressing the issue of social housing. Kila mtu amekuwa akiongea kuhusu affordable housing, hakuna mtu anaongea issue ambayo inauguza a bigger chunk of citizen wa nchi. Similarly, ukiangalia issue ya train ni very key on transport, because you see production na hizo vitu zote za tunaongea kuhusu economy, train ni most important. You can see allocation yenye ametoa kwa railway line nama, some areas are very new where train ilikuwa inapita 80s, like they are reviving that. So that is a bonus where we can say for you once mnafanya kitu inaeleka. Okay. Lastly, this is an example. Kulikuwa na a farmer with a beautiful daughter, and the lion wanted to marry this daughter. So when the lion, mzee akashika akaogopa sana simba, lakini akasema aje, jua ninakuona yenyewe ni simba, the best I can do is allow you to marry my daughter. But my daughter asked for one thing, tukungoe meno na tukungoe makucha. And the lion agreed. When it agreed, on the day of wedding ikikuja, the farmer alikuwa na manyundo na mawe, akakimbiza ile simba, juu ikuwa na meno na ikuwa na makucha. This country, we have a lot of things that are happening like lion. But we citizens, when the daughter, the owner of the daughter, and sisi ndio wenye boma, tumeshindwa kucontrol. So that is my view.
Okay, in the spirit of time, actually our time is up. Our time is up. I know. And so I know you're doing this because you're hearing this Simba and daughter situation. But unfortunately, our time is up. But I think the point is home. As much as we have the big figure of 4.82 trillion, the nuances around it really varies from where we sit, especially Mwananchi. How do you feel? Are you able to afford, the cost of living? Is it good for you or not? Development, are you seeing or not? So those are the nuances that are sometimes when we look at the numbers, you're not able to get it. But today from our conversation, we've gotten the varied, responses. I know some of you maybe didn't like some of what some of us said, but I think that's the beauty of belonging to Kenya, the diversity of opinions, and we should carry on that particular spirit moving forward. So the big question as we close this up definitely goes back to how we're going to finance this budget. It's no mean feat. 4.82 trillion shillings is a lot of money. Majority of that money is coming from you. it's coming from within the country. Even borrowing is coming from within the country. So that is an ongoing conversation that we need to pay attention to as a country. And the finance bill is going to be discussed in Parliament in the next few weeks. So make sure that you pay attention. I hope you participated in the public participation and gave your input. And hopefully those inputs were actually considered in that regard. Well, that's been our conversation, our town hall here with wonderful members of the public from various sectors and various parts of the country. And thank you very much for joining with us over the past hour and a half. My name is Noah Kipkimboy. Bye-bye for now. Santeni sana.